Do you ever attend a Guru dance seminar and when he is doing double stick and he's talking about forehand, backhand, forehands that your brain just kind of turns off? No, that's just me? Crap. So I know when I attend Guru dance seminars, my number one thing that I totally get lost on is the 6 counts in double stick. So for me, I just have a hard time thinking about them, understanding them, and knowing that there's 4,096 variations. My brain is just like, no. So I'm gonna help break things down. I'm gonna give you a couple hints, so that way when you go to a Guru dance seminar, once the COVID-19 nonsense is done, hopefully you'll have a better time than me on this part. So there are a couple distinctions I want to make. I'm not going to talk necessarily about the high, the low, or the high lines now. I'm going to talk about forehands and backhands, and that's it. Now, forehand is just like I'm showing you here. This is the easiest combination, right? Forehand, 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 or FFF, FFF. Super confusing, I know, but it's just basically an open 6 count. We go bink, 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 like that. Now, it starts to get confusing because the other one is backhand, right? So let's say forehand, forehand, backhand, right? And then you can't just cheat and go forehand, forehand, backhand, forehand, forehand, backhand, or can you? You can. The thing is you can't repeat your hand. So you can't go forehand, forehand, backhand, and then forehand, forehand, backhand. But you can go forehand, forehand, backhand, forehand, forehand, backhand, like that. So bink, 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 like that. Okay? The next one is forehand, backhand, forehand. This is the next hint. If the middle is a backhand, if the middle hit is a backhand, that means you go from open to closed. So in this instance, it'd be forehand, backhand, forehand, forehand, backhand, forehand. So it's redondo 6 essentially. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's forehand, backhand, forehand, forehand, backhand, forehand. The next one is forehand, backhand, backhand. This is probably the easiest one, but depending on who you might be testing with, they might not like this one as your go-to. But it's essentially forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand. What is that? That's heaven 6. Forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand. I know, right? It's so so hard to do. But maybe you have a super strict teacher and they don't want you to do just heaven 6 because they expect more out of you. And that's fair. I guess I should expect more out of myself. If I'm here and I want forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand, but he wants more, maybe you can try here.
One eternity later.
Forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand. So again, we go, starting to open. See, even my brain's like, why you do this? Forehand, backhand, backhand, 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 forehand, backhand, backhand. So you can make it like a helicopter. So one more time. Forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand. So it's not heaven 6. Forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand. The next couple are all backhands, okay? So again, we'll start with backhand, forehand, forehand, or BFF. My favorite, BFF. All right, so I'm gonna start open. I'm gonna go backhand, forehand, forehand, backhand, forehand, forehand. So I'm just gonna redondo over my head. Backhand, forehand, forehand, backhand, forehand, forehand, backhand, forehand, forehand, backhand, forehand, forehand. Getting a little crazy with the sticks here, but backhand, forehand, forehand, backhand, forehand, forehand. All right? Next is BFB. Okay? So backhand, forward, backhand. Couple ways of doing this, but think about making it an X line or an X line, okay? So I'll go backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand. So I'm cutting on one angle and then the next angle. So again, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand. You can see the lines I'm cutting on. So bink, 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 bink. Make sense? We're almost there. We only got 2 more of the main variations to get through. So backhand, backhand, forehand. We could start here and go backhand, backhand. Oh, that's backhand, backhand, backhand. But we could go backhand, backhand, forehand. So we go backhand. So we redondo, backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand. That's not my favorite. So you could also start open, right? We go backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand. So you have a couple variations there. So again, you go backhand, backhand. That's backhand, backhand, backhand. So, I keep messing this one up. So you're going to go backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand. Backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand. Okay? Or you start open and you go backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand. That's open versus closed. That one kind of has a couple variations with it. So, do with it what you want. So again, backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand. I keep messing that one up. Or backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand. Kind of like the reverse of the forward, backhand, backhand. That's not heaven 6. All right, last one's backhand, backhand, backhand. You can start open. Backhand, 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 backhand. But that looks really goofy. So you can just go backhand, 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 backhand. So again, starting closed. Back, 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 back. Bink, 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 bink. I hope that's helpful to you. It's helpful to me. I'm going to use this as a resource. Study up before I go see Guru Dan so I don't make a fool of myself. But let me know what you think in the comments. See if this was helpful at all, or if it's just rambling nonsense with me saying backhand, forehand, backhand way too many times. You let me know. Also hit the bell so that way you never miss notification for this pretty face coming up on your YouTube. And that being said, guys, party on.